This leave travel will only be available if it is performed in India. If the leave is performed in India, place in India. Okay, let's see a sum. D went on a holiday on 25th December 24 to Delhi with his wife and 3 children, one son 5 years, twin daughters 3 years. They went by flight economy class and the total cost of tickets reimbursed by the employer was 60,000, 45,000 for adults, 15,000 for 3 minor children. Compute of LTC exempt if Mr. D exercises the option of shifting out of default tax regime. It is applicable only for old tax regime, so he is applicable for that. Now, for whom all it is applicable? Self, wife, spouse plus children, single children plus twin births will be applicable. So in this case, for the entire family, economic class fare will be allowed as exemption. So since the son age is more than twin daughters, D can avail the exemption for all 3 children. The restriction of 2 children is not applicable to multiple births after one child. So holiday being in India and the journey being performed in economy class, the entire reimbursement is fully exempt. So what is the economy fare? 60,000 plus how much is received? 60,000. So it is entirely exempt in the hands of the employee. What will happen if 3 children in which twins were 5 years and the son were 3 years old? So this was not case if the first twins were born and your next single child were born. So we will not get benefit for this single child. So how do you calculate? The 15,000 rupees for the three minor children for a single child will be 5,000 and locked-in exempt would be only 60,000 minus 5,000, that is 55,000. How much is given as per the rule? Whichever is lower, actual amount receipt or given as per the rule, whichever is lower will be exempt. Now we are going to see medical facilities. So medical facilities, if provided in India by employer own hospital or in the government hospital or government recognized hospital, then it is exempt. If in any other private hospital, then it is taxable. What are the exemption? Exception is COVID-19 subject to certain conditions. That is, we should have given the COVID positive report certificate. We should have given other expenditure certificates. All that certain subject to certain conditions. This exceptions for COVID-19 is given. For who all medical treatment is allowed? For employee and family. Family comes spouse, children, father, mother, brother, sister, if they are wholly dependent. Now what if the treatment is outside India? Treatment and stay, if it's paid by the employer, it is exempt up to the limit prescribed by the RBI. And traveling expenses from here to outside India and outside India to here, if the gross total income of the employee is less up to 2 lakhs, then it is exempt, otherwise it is not exempt. In case of outside India, it is exempt only for one person and one attendant, not more than that. See, as you can see here, value of any medical treatment in hospital maintained by the employer, reimbursement of medical expenditure incurred or the medical treatment of any member of the family in any hospital in respect of prescribed disease in any hospital maintained by government or government recognized hospital. Suppose in respect of COVID-19, there are, as I told, there are certain conditions. COVID-19 positive report should be submitted. All the necessary document of medical diagnosis within 6 months, offered within 6 months from date of being determined as COVID-19 positive should be given. Certification in respect of expenditure incurred in relation to the treatment of COVID-19 should be submitted. Apart from that, any premium paid for the insurance of the health of the employee is also exempt. Reimbursement of premium paid to the effect on insurance on the health of the employee or family member of the employee is also exempt. Now if there is treatment outside India, then medical treatment, travel and stay abroad, medical treatment of such employee or any member of the family of such employees outside India. So medical treatment can be of employee or any other member of the employee, any member which is spouse, children, father, mother, brother, sister who are wholly dependent, will be limited to the limit prescribed by RBI. And for travel and stay abroad, it will be if the GTA is up to 2 lakhs, then entire amount is exempt, otherwise it is not exempt. So we'll take up a sum here. Compute the taxable value of perquisite in respect of medical facility received by Mr. G from his employer. Medical premium paid for insurance health of Mr. G, self ka insurance, will be exempt. Treatment of Mr. G by family doctor. Family doctor is not exempt, taxable. Treatment of Mrs. G in a government hospital, exempt. Treatment of Mr. G's grandfather, not eligible, not a family member, taxable. Treatment of Mr. G, dependent, G's mother, by family doctor, by family doctor is taxable. Treatment of Mr. G's sister, dependent in a nursing home, taxable. Treatment of G's brother, independent, taxable. Only dependent will include. Treatment of Mr. G's father, 75 years and dependent abroad. So treatment and stay shall not exceed amount prescribed by RBI. So treatment and stay is 80,000, amount prescribed by RBI 75,000, so 5,000 will be taxable. So let's do the sum. Treatment of Mrs. G in a government hospital, Mrs. G in a government hospital. So let's see what all is taxable. Treatment of Mrs. G in a government hospital is exempt, so it is not taxable here. Treatment of Mr. G's father abroad, 50 and 30, limit prescribed by RBI 75, 5,000 is taxable. Medical premium paid for insurance of Mr. G, paid for self, will be exempt. Treatment of Mr. G by his family doctor, taxable. By family doctor, taxable. Nursing home, taxable. Private clinic, taxable. Independent, taxable. So this is the taxable value of perquisites. And any payment of premium on personal accident insurance policies by employer to the employee, where no benefit immediately occurs, but it will occur at a future date only if certain events takes place. This will not constitute a taxable perquisite in the employee hands. It is, in other words, it is exempt. Suppose a rent-free accommodation is given to the employee or given at a concessional rate. If it is given to the government employee, what will happen? If unfurnished accommodation is given, license fee determined as per government rules as reduced by rent actually paid by the employee. So employee, how much free of cost is given is how much is the value minus how much employee has paid, will be the value of benefit provided free of cost, right? So license fee determined as per government rules minus rent actually paid by the employee. Now what if it is furnished accommodation? Value determined under column C, the license fee determined under column C, right? Value of unfurnished accommodation, add 10% of cost of furniture, of the furniture cost. If there is furniture is higher, then higher charges should be added to the determine the value as reduced by charges recovered from employee. What charges is recovered from employee, that will be reduced. Non-government employee, if accommodation is given to non-government employee, then what happens is, if city has population of more than 40 lakhs, perquisite value will be 10% of salary. In cities having a population of greater than 15 lakhs up to 40 lakhs, perquisite value will be 7.5% of the salary. This value determined if it is unfurnished. If it is furnished, value determined under column C at 10% of the furniture cost. If higher charges is paid, then said higher charges will be added to the value as reduced by charges recorded by the employee. What if it is in other areas? Then 5% of salary will be the perquisite value. After arriving the perquisite value, it should be rent, if any, recovered by the employee should be subtracted from the perquisite value. Where the accommodation is taken on lends, lease or rent by the employer. Now here, if it is owned by the employer, for non-government employee, if it is taken on lease or rent by the employer, actual amount of lease rent paid by the employer or 10% of salary, whichever is lower, will be the perquisite value as reduced by the rent actually paid by the employee. If it is furnished, then 10% of per annum of the furniture cost will be added. If higher charges are, higher charges will be as reduced by charges recovered from the employee. See, what the employer is doing? Employer is paying the rent but not collecting it from the employee. So actual amount of lease rent paid or payable by the employer or 10% of salary, whichever is lower, will be the value of the perquisite. So let's revise one again. If it is a government employee, license fee decided by the government minus rent actually paid. In this value, we should add 10% or higher charges, and what amount is paid by the employee, that should be subtracted. If it is a non-government employee, then cities having more than 40 lakhs, 10% of salary will be taken. If cities having population less than greater than 15 but up to 40 lakhs, 7.5% of salary. In other areas, only 5% of salary will be taken as perquisite valuation. The same way, 10% per annum of the furniture cost will be added. Any charges recorded by an employee will be reduced in the valuation of perquisites. If accommodation is not owned but leased or rent by the employer, how much amount he is paying or 10% of salary, whichever is lower, will be the value of perquisite, and any value paid by the employee will be subtracted. 10% per annum of the furniture cost will be added. Interest free or concessional loan given by employer to employee, what will be the value of the perquisite? See, what is outstanding balance of the loan as on last day of each month into rate of SBI as on first day of the relevant previous year minus interest paid by the employee will be the value of perquisite. No tax, no perquisite will be, no tax on the perquisite if the loan amount does not exceed 20,000 rupees. Here in given case, we have to take outstanding balance of loan of last day of each month. For April, we have to take separately. We have to take last outstanding balance, calculate the rate of interest, we will get the value of perquisite. For May month, we have to take separately. For each month, we have to take separately. So rate into outstanding balance as on the last day of each month minus interest paid by the employee. No tax if the loan does not exceed 20,000 rupees. Okay. Use of mobile assets by employee or any member of his household. So use of laptops and computers given by employer to the employee will always be nil, whether used for personal purposes or not. Now any other mobile asset other than laptop and computers, 10% of actual cost of such assets will be taken as value of perquisite, or if the employer is not the owner, he has taken it on rent, amount of rent paid or payable by the employer as the case may be will be taken as the value minus amount any record from the employee. Now if there is not use of mobile asset but transfer of mobile asset, then what will happen? Actual cost minus cost of normal wear and tear, that is we have to take the WDV or return down value or book value minus amount paid or record from the employee. Suppose computers and electronic items are there, then 50% rate of depreciation will come on WDV for each completed year of usage. Fraction to be ignored. Motor cars 20%, any other asset 10%. Suppose 15 July 2022 asset is purchased. So till 14 July 2023 it's 1 year, and 13 July 2024 it's 2 years. If the asset is sold on 15th October 2024, the fraction of years should be ignored. In case of other asset, this is SLM method, 10% of actual cost of such asset to the employer for each completed year of usage. Valuation of specified security or specified equity share for purpose of section. Okay, whenever the specified equity shares are issued, it is issued at a discounted price or a concessional price. What will be the value of perquisite? Fair market value of any specified security being equity share on the date of option is exercised by employee shall be determined in the following manner. Okay. So the fair market value of such security minus any amount paid by the employee will be determined as value of the perquisite. Now what will be the fair market value? Fair market value will be the fair market value on the date of exercise of option. How to determine fair market value? It is average of opening and closing price of the shares if listed in RSC. If listed in more than one RSC, we should take RSC which has the highest volume of trading. If there is no trading in share on the listed RSC on the date of exercise of option, the date closest immediately preceding closing price of the closing price of the share on any RSC on a date closest to the date of exercising of option and immediately preceding such date will be taken. If it is listed in more than one RSC where highest volume of trading has happened will be taken. If shares are not listed in RSC, it will be determined by the merchant banker on the specified date. Specified date will be date of exercising of option or date earlier than 180 days earlier than that date, not being a date which is more than 180 days earlier than the date of exercising. That is, it could be exercising date or any date earlier than that date, but should not be more than 180 days. What amount is recovered from the employee, that amount should be deducted from the FMV. We will get the value of the perquisite.